And for God's sake, let's address it. Not just say, oh, you guys put women in bags, or you scratch your ear on a Sunday, or you don't clean your earwax, or all these kind of random red herrings that were coming along, right?
So the point is, I to ask empirically what's to me, and maybe this is a different word. Maybe we should have defined the word sensible.
Please, yes. Sorry. Could I interrupt? Sorry, that wasn't the question. My question was that. If you think logic is, you said you didn't think it was independent, but do you think that your premises, because that's what your arguments rest on, are informed by empirical evidence?
Some of them are supported, but the majority of them are deductive themselves.
Okay, next question.
And that's what makes deductive very strong. If you have premises that are deductive, and the conclusion is sound and valid, therefore it's a deductive argument. So that makes it a very strong argument. And that's why I said it would be irrational to take induction over deduction if you have a deductive argument.
How do you know that they're valid if you don't test them?
Because you know them conceptually and metaphysically and philosophically.
Just like that woman knew to drown her 4 kids.
Yeah, but, okay. No.
Okay.
No. Let me address this question. Sorry. The interesting thing is, your very statement is a metaphysical statement. It could be translated metaphysically. For example, induction is the only method to use to try and establish or know reality. That statement itself is self-defeating. It can't even be proven by empiricism. It's an inductive statement. So the point is, I give an example. It's like you have this almost crude.
I don't claim to know what's valid just by knowing it.
No, but you have to in that very statement in itself, because it's almost like you're presenting this crude scientism or logical positivism.
Oh, stop using words. Talk to me in English.
Okay. Oh, but when you use words, it's great. When I use words, I can't do that.
I don't think I've used very much jargon at all. If I did, I apologize.
Okay, scientism is, let me define it for you. It is the assertion that science is the only way to form conclusions about reality. Okay? That statement itself is, one, self-defeating, because science can't prove that statement. Secondly, science itself, that statement itself is flawed because science can't prove mathematical truths. Also, it can't prove ontological truths. It can't prove moral truths, historical truths. If you study epistemology... Sorry, excuse me, sir.
How do you know it can't prove historical truths?
Let me make a point, sir.
How do you know it can't prove moral truths? So you're making these
Okay, let me make my point. How do we know Aristotle existed?
There's lots of evidence.
Okay, let me give you a piece of evidence that I know. We know him through Plato. Okay?
It's highly likely that he existed, which is what science would say.
Yeah, but let me make my point. Even anyone studying epistemology, which is the study of knowledge and belief, you would know that the majority of your opinions in this room as well is based on non-empirical evidence. It's based on... Let me finish.
I understand that could be wrong.
Yeah, but
Aristotle may not have existed.
Yeah, but you're missing a point. I'm trying to show you there's other routes to knowledge, sir. That's
not knowledge.
Such as, testimony, for example. Authentic
testimony.
And valid testimony.
Oh my goodness. You really believe in testimony as proof of do you really believe that?
But Professor Krauss, do
you really believe that because I say...
Let's not dig a hole for ourselves.
Someone did something, it happened?
Go to the Berkeley website on the scientific method. It says, one of the majority aspects...
I don't go to websites, I just do science.
Yeah, okay, well, that's very great. Well, do this science then. Listen to this science. The Berkeley website says the key part of the scientific method is also the workings of other scientists. That
you test and you don't trust. And you repeat their experiments because you don't trust
them. Yes, I agree.
That's
wait,
works.
but there's a lot of science.
You don't trust other people's results.
Excuse me, sir. There's a lot of science that requires testimony, yeah?
What?
Lots of science.
What?
Okay, I'll give you an example. Have you done every single experiment concerning evolution?
No.
So you believe it's true? Thank you very much.
I don't know.
What else do you want to say?
Do you want me to answer? Do you want me to answer? Do you want me to answer a question?
Of course I do. Of course I do.
You gave an answer before I even answered it. Come on.
Okay.
I'm learning from the best.
I told you, I don't believe in anything. I think, based on the evidence of my experience, and everything I see in the world around me, that evolution is highly likely.
Okay.
And that's what I would call a fact.
So when you had an interview...
Unbelievably highly likely.
Okay.
As highly likely as even though I haven't ever been in space, although I wouldn't mind.
Look, I believe in gender equality, and the only woman who wants to answer a question in the room right now, she's standing there. Let's do it.
Okay. I applaud that. I applaud you for that.
I just wanted to make a comment about the incident that happened before this event began. I acknowledge that the brother who couldn't find a seat where he was coming from, but and I believe that he has a right to sit where he wanted to, but there has been some misunderstanding. Firstly, Islam makes it very clear that equality is incredibly important, and that no black man, for example, is superior to a white man, and vice versa. But the issue here was not one of superiority, as no one imposed segregation upon him. He was allowed to sit with the ladies at the back, and he was also allowed to sit at the front with females. But if some of the ladies chosen to sit at a distance from the men, why must he impose himself upon us? If I sat in a restaurant with my friends away from men, would it be appropriate for him to join me at my table too? And I'm basically offended by his disrespect for my values.
Okay.
Let me respond. Although I'm not the organizers, let me respond. Look, the point is, as I said, I don't think people should be uncomfortable. Okay. And they should move if they're uncomfortable. However, you chose to come to an event that wasn't segregated. If you felt uncomfortable by that, I think you have the right not to be here and watch it on video. But you chose to do that, and therefore, and I realize that you may be uncomfortable sitting with men, and I respect that. You shouldn't be forced to do that. But if you choose to go to a hockey game or a what do they call it here, football game, which is really soccer, then you subject yourself to the social conventions of the time. So I respect your desires, and I don't want you to be forced to do that. And in fact, you should have moved away if it was offensive. But the point is that this was a non-segregated event, and you knew that coming in, and you therefore were subject to the possibility that you might be near someone, and that was your choice.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. You guys, mashallah. Oh, sorry.
Don't be sorry.
I've been sitting on the fence the whole night, you see.
It doesn't offend
okay, it's painful sitting on fences. Hamza and Professor Krauss, I think you guys have been amazing tonight. Don't you think?
I don't think so.
But you still got to convince the audience up there, so you've got 2 minutes each.
Oh, well, no, I'm glad we had more dialogue than, as I once said, because I just think the debate format is a stupid format. Forgive me. It just doesn't lead to the kind of interaction. Actually, there's been some positives that have come out of the fact when Hamza and I have talked that have been much more positive than when people make these rhetorical long statements and trying to find things and try and sneak the other person into some logical contradiction. It's just not good for education. My intent, and I'm sure I've offended people here, my intent was not to offend. I always offend, and I offend some of my scientific colleagues too. My intent was just to raise questions and encourage people to think about issues. And for that, I hope that some of the statements I've made will cause people to think. And indeed, my whole point is that given access to information, and I believe you should get access to information about the world really works, which is why I write scientific books and I speak, because I think these are some of those beautiful ideas people have ever come up with, that we shouldn't be afraid of them, we shouldn't fear them, we shouldn't view them as if they offend our beliefs, that's a good thing, because it means our beliefs are wrong. And that, as I say to students all the time, is the greatest gift we can have. Changing our minds and learning is what's produced the progress that allows this room to happen, that allows these video cameras to be recording things. So I just hope that as I hope I am willing to change my beliefs or change my mind in the presence of evidence and get information, that I hope that some of the things I've said have spurred your thinking, and I certainly don't want to convert you into anything. And so, thank you for listening.
Hamza?
Oh dear. You know what? Something inside me thought I knew it would be like this. Because when I watch Professor Krauss, although I disagree with him, I love his style. And my dad would love your style as well. It's like, I don't care, I'm going to be me, get over it. Wow. So I do respect that. Good. And the other thing I do respect...
You're that way too, don't you think?
Yes, we're the same.
Okay, well, then
we're the same.
That's why
there was like almost an explosion here on atomic levels. Yeah? I mean, interestingly, we have a lot in common. We both like Star Trek. So, you know,
I know it's not real. You gave me the line.
Yeah, I give him that one. Okay, good. Right, so, first and foremost, I think there was a bunch of discussion on the definition of a miracle that I presented. I think maybe we should have more useful discussion on maybe the coherent definition that we presented. Concerning the literary form is unique. Again, I think there was a misunderstanding between aesthetic reception and unique literary form, and the computer analysis that was brought as an example wasn't based on a whole chapter, which is based on the inimitability of the Quranic discourse. Also, I think we brought forth a deductive argument to show that the finitude of the universe, and therefore it couldn't have come via nothing. Once it was in a state of non-existence, then it was brought into being. It couldn't self-create. It couldn't be created by something else that was created because of the absurdity of the infinite regress. Therefore, it makes sense that it was created by something uncreated or caused by something that's uncaused. And it's in line with our definition of causality, which is something that produces effect, which allows asymmetric causality. Also, when we talked about the infinite, we talked about the quantitative infinite, not the qualitative infinite. And I think the examples the professor gave were based on axioms and conventions in the mathematical realm of discourse rather than in reality. So that's all I have to say. I don't think the key premises of my argument were addressed. And I think it shows the veracity of Islam from that perspective, because if it was so wrong and so rubbish and so nonsensical, we would have had a strong counter-argument from that perspective. But this is going to be unaddressed until the Day of Judgment, I believe. But I think what we all have to learn is that, you know what? We can sit on a table, we can speak together, we may be angry and rhetorical. And by the way, I so apologize if I offended anyone, especially Professor Krauss. I did say things that I shouldn't have said for a highly respected academic like himself. So we have to humble ourselves for his achievements, and some of the words I used were not appropriate, even though they may have sounded nice rhetorically, but that's a different issue. The point is, you know, at the end of the day, let's be human, let's connect with one each other without presuppositions, and that's very hard to do. But the only way to do that is just really divorcing our drama and our presuppositions when we try to engage with someone, and that's what we teach in our courses all the time. Engage with a human being, not just with his beliefs or your perception of who he is. We didn't quite get there today, but you know what? It's the beginning. God bless you all.